Welcome to the This Old Knit podcast that I'm thinking of renaming. I'm your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine, on Instagram, Pinterest, Ravelry. Those are the main social medias that I use. And thanks for joining me. It has been a hot minute since I have done a real long form podcast, if you will. So yeah, I have absolutely no plans for today or anything. I just thought I would show you a bunch of stuff, because everybody is out hiking. So my husband took the two kids into the woods. They got like a camp stove. It's really small. It packs up like about that big and it's pretty flat. And then it's kind of panels and stuff. So they went to try that out. They're going to make some potatoes and boil some water and just play around in the woods. So I actually have some time over the summer that isn't going to be child interrupted. So I thought, hey, I'll jump on it and record a podcast for everyone. I've been super busy. The tail end of the school year was just complete and pure hell. And for all of you who are parenting teenagers, I salute you. It is no fun. Raising strong and independent-willed people requires that you have strong and independent-willed children, but that will isn't always in the right direction to ensure success. So we dealt with a lot of that in the tail end of the year, and I just had to put my energy and focus into that, which meant something had to go, and that was podcasts. I did record footage from May and June. A lot of it is outside because we've also been doing outside things. So if I get my button gear, I will at some point edit that and put it out in a vlog version. But we also got chickens for those who don't enjoy watching vlogs. And so you didn't check in for, I may have put up a May one. I'm not sure at this point. I think I maybe have June and then July footage that I need to edit. But the first week of May, we got chickens. We ordered 6. They sent us 7 because they put an extra one in there in case if one dies in transit. They send them in the mail, U.S. Postal Service. They send them overnight. There's a special kind of delivery for live poultry. I don't know why my shirt is like sitting weird for the neckline, but it is. So yeah, we got a call like first thing in the morning from our post office, and they said, hey, your chickens are here, come and pick them up. And we were able to go get them. They were in like a tiny box. But I have a vlog that I think shows them when they were little babies, and now I couldn't even put one of them in there. They're all very large. So they are speckled Sussex hens. We do definitively have 7 hens. They give you like an 80%, surety, but we could have got roosters, but we did not. We lucked out and we got all hens. So yeah, that's been taking up a lot of our time, as well as just taking care of the chickens, doing some raised bed gardening. We've done a lot more with like trees. And I think we put in 4 or 5 new trees this year. 2 quinces, 2 plums, a pink lady apple tree. We already had a bunch. And then we got our retaining wall redone. So that was another project that was a lot. It's just been a lot. It's been a lot. So anyway, I have been knitting still quite a bit. I've been knitting. I've sewed a little bit. I repaired a bunch of pairs of pants that I now am going to send on to Meg. Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits for her son, and a pair of pajamas that I had sewed for Joshua. They're stuff he outgrew, but I would like if somebody got them who is going to use them, because if I gave them to Goodwill, they would just throw them in the trash because they're patched and stuff. But they still have a lot of life left in them. And so I wanted to send them to somebody who would actually use them for play clothes and stuff. So anyway, they are coming, Meg. I finished the last pair of pants like 2 days ago. Thank goodness. Yeah, so I'm going to jump right in. I finished 3 sweaters. I can't remember the last time I did like a full podcast. There may be others that I've finished, but these are the ones I remember finishing. So I'm going to share those with you today. I've got some whips that I'm working on that I'll also share with you, but I didn't run around and like collect everything I'm working on because, again, like very impromptu, I wanted to have time to record. So yeah, let's dive in. So the first one is actually a test knit that's going to come out this week. So today is June 26th. June. Good God. July. July 26th. Maybe. I don't know what day it is anymore. It's summer. I don't know anything. Anyway, it's going to come out this week. I think it's tomorrow, which I think was supposed to be July 27th. So that's why I think it's the 26th. I did finish it. This is the Summer Saunter Tee by Samantha Guerin of Samantha Guerin Designs. It is a very different style than I have knitted before. I did make some modifications just for it to fit me better. So it is a drop shoulder tee with a folded hem, and it's supposed to have folded hems on the sleeves as well. The issue I had is that my yarn is quite thick, so it's written for a DK weight yarn, which I did get gauge with, but I wanted to use this stash yarn. This is Debbie Bliss Prima, and I've had it for a long time. I think I got it in 2007 or 2008. And so, yeah, I wanted to use it. I thought I had way too much. I think I had like 9 balls of it, but I actually used 7 balls. So it wasn't a ridiculous amount too much. I do have 2 full balls left, and then I have this much of another one. They're 50-gram balls. I do need to weigh the sweater today so I can tell Samantha how much yardage I actually used for it. But yeah, I did, I think a size 7 needle and then a size 5 needle for the bottom part and the ribbing. I have the folded hem for right now, but as I said, with this yarn is a mostly bamboo with a little bit of wool. So I think it's an 80% bamboo, 20% wool. I'm looking to see if I've got any of the labels. I think I just cleaned up my knitting area and I threw those all away. So I just have the labels that are on the 2 remaining balls, which I put away. So I have nothing to show you. I think it's 80-20 though, bamboo wool. So it has this really nice eyelet detail on the neckline. And then this is a, what is that called? An I-cord bind off. So it makes it really nice, clean on the neckline. Here's the folded hem. So you can see that, like, for me, it's really thick and it actually kind of sticks out. So that is on a part of my body that I don't really want to have extra bulk sticking out because it hits like right at my waistline. So then I have like this big ridge. I think once I do the finished object photos for the pattern, because this is what Samantha called for, I'm going to rip out the sewn bind off portion and just go to this purl row where you fold it, and I'm gonna just knit some ribbing. I think I'll be happier with it if I do that, and I think it still looks nice. So I did 1x1 ribbing on the cuffs instead of the folded hem. Samantha said that was fine. For me, I think this would have been really constricting on my bicep. So I have kind of a decent sized bicep there, and I didn't want it to like really hang weird. So this at least lets it hang the way it should. The picked up stitches for the back, because you knit a certain amount of it and then you like pick up on the shoulders and come down the front. But this seam kind of lays on the back of your shoulder. So yeah, it's nice. I didn't add any waist shaping because this is a super drapey yarn, so it actually kind of conforms to my body once I have it on. I just don't like the hem for me. There's nothing wrong with the pattern, and I bet if I had sewed it with a fingering weight yarn, it probably would be fine. But I did a Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy bind off because I didn't want, a lot of people talked about that when they did a traditional bind off, then when they tried to do this, it wouldn't give at all. So I was like, well, I want it to be more stretchy. And then that actually adds a little bit of extra flare, which then you're seaming it with the same weight yarn. It's a thick seam. It's just a whole thing. So I think I'm going to be happier with it if I go back, rip it here, and then just knit like 2 inches of ribbing. It'll be a little bit longer, which is fine. I wouldn't mind for it to be a little bit longer. But overall, it's a nice tee. Let me see if I can throw it on real quick. I'm violating the cardinal rule of trying on knitting because you shouldn't try it on glasses. It always gets stuck. There we go. So yeah, you can see like that's where it hits. I would be fine with it hitting kind of where this tee underneath finishes, but I don't know. I just don't like that hem. But this is what it looks like on. It gives you a little bit of a high-low effect because there's no short rows done on the neckline. So then your breasts are naturally going to pull it up in the front. So the back is going to be longer than the front. But you can see the neckline's really nice. I just need to weave in my ends. I'll do that before my final pictures for tomorrow. But yeah, the sleeves are nice as I knit them. And yeah, when I sit down, also that kind of floofs out. I'll be happier if I use the ribbing. It's really nice. I'm so glad I used the yarn. So that's out of my stash. And I think I'm just going to de-stash my 2 remaining balls of it. I can't see myself knitting anything else with it. I don't have enough to knit anything else with it. 2 balls really wouldn't be enough for anything. That'd be just like 100 grams. It's not enough to knit anything with. Even like a crop top would need more than that for me. So yeah, I'm just gonna de-stash / donate it. And somebody else can enjoy it and do whatever they want to do with it. So that is the Summer Saunter tee. And you can get the pattern tomorrow. My next one that I want to share is another kind of deep stash item, and I love how this one turned out. It turned out exactly as I imagined that it would. It was so fun to knit. Every bit of it was super fun, and I really enjoy the fit of it, and it's very light, so it's actually a really nice summer tee. But it was written to be a long-sleeved sweater. So this is the Laurel sweater by Along Avec Anna, and I know I'm pronouncing that wrong because it's French and I don't speak French, but yeah, it's a paid for pattern, and it's got this all over leaf motif. So these are like little leaves, and they kind of go, they've switched directions for which way the point is going versus the leaf. You can kind of see it the best with my last 3 colors there. So I had this speckled rainbow mini skein set that I got from Mothi and the Squid. It is more colors than this. I think there were 3 colors I didn't use in this set. There's one that kind of is a darker pink that goes before this one. There's a purple into pink that goes on this side, and then there's like a mint green that would have gone right here. But what I did is I did the first couple of stripes. I knew I wanted to start with the light pink, and so I did the first few stripes, and then I calculated how much each of these repeats were, and I wanted to at least get all the colors of the rainbow in. I knew I wanted to add cyan. And then I figured out, to get to the length I wanted, how many colors I could include. And I figured out that I would have to take out that mint green, which was fine, and omit the last purple. So that's how I got to using this many colors out of the mini skein set. I think I'm going to make a cowl with the leftovers. I still have a ton of leftovers because they were very generous mini skeins for Mothie and the Squid. So I have enough to do, like, I think a rainbow striped cowl. Maybe the Helen Stewart Land of Sweets one would be really fun. That one has kind of like different lace or stitch patterns in it. It was in like the Advent bundle she did, not last year, but the year before. So, and I haven't knit anything from that one. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is the Land of Sweets cowl. I think my friend Andrea made one. But anyway, my main color is Confetti from No Makers. And then this one is Fireworks, also from No Makers. So this is actually a really like dark navy eggplant tweed. And then this one is like one of my skeins was more of like a toasted waffles type taupe color, and then the other one was a little bit lighter, more like a waffle cone kind of color. So anyway, they were slightly different enough that you'd be able to tell if they were just knit in a straight one color garment, which I knew I didn't want to do anyway, because like that color would do nothing for me by itself. So what I did is I started with my lighter skein up here. You may not be able to tell this on camera. This one I did the darker, and I did it all the way to here, and then I did the lighter for that one, and then the darker one for this one. And so I purposely alternated the darker and lighter in my stripes to make it look more homogeneous, or at least more intentional. Maybe I can do this because I ran out of this color. So I had to use my ribbing as the other colors. You can see this one's a little bit more like golden brown, and this one's a little more whitish brown. But I think it turned out really well. And like I said, I did the short sleeves. There wasn't really anything in the pattern for that. So what I did when I rejoined my yarn is that I did enough of the kind of cream color to finish out what would have been a repeat. Then I did another of these motifs, and then I think I did one plain round after that, going down to the size for the ribbing of needle, and then I just did some ribbing till the cuff was as long as I wanted it to be. And I did not do any decreases, I don't think. So I basically followed the pattern as though I was picking up for the sleeves, and then I didn't do any of the sleeve decreases. So yeah, I worked the third size of the pattern. I did no waist shaping, obviously, because it's a chart and I didn't want to mess around with that. I already had enough going on. I didn't want to also calculate it. It's a really nice length. The No Makers tweed is quite a thin fingering. I'd call it a light fingering weight yarn. So it's really great for summer. And the Mothie and the Squid is a little bit heavier, but not enough that it made a big difference on my gauge. So yeah, I'm just really happy with it. It's so nice and colorful and fun. I didn't quite finish it in time for Pride Month, which made me a little bit sad, but yeah, I finished it like the first week of July. So I didn't get to wear it in June, but I'll have it for Pride Month next year. We did do some Pride Month activities at my work, and yeah, next year I'll be able to wear it and have fun with that, but whatever. So that's the Laurel sweater using No Makers and Mothie and the Squid. The No Makers, again, has been in my stash for at least 6 years, maybe 7 years, quite a while. And then my last sweater that I completed was also another test knit for Samantha. So this pattern has been out for a little while, and this is the pampas tee, like pampas grass. And it is a top-down circular yoke pattern. It was intended to be a tee, so she wrote it that way. It's a summer tee, but I did do mine in a little bit heavier of yarn, so I thought it could kind of transition and be a spring tee or an early fall tee as well. It's a little bit hot if it's like full-on hot. It's not really like a full-on summer tee for me, but that's okay because, excuse me, Connecticut's summers don't stay for that long, so this will make it a more useful garment. So I had 2 skeins of the Ice Moon from the Full Moon collection from Plies and Hellhounds. So this is the 2 skeins that I got of that. I knew I wanted to make them into a sweater because it was a gorgeous color. So I grabbed 2 and I alternated skeins for that. It has these really pretty, like, color, what do you call them? Not speckles, but a little more than speckly areas, I guess, of like a gray, like a charcoal gray, darker blue, some lavender, and then the overall like icy blue background. So it has this really nice yoke detail. I haven't seen this diamondy lace pattern before, but it's really pretty. And it was very easy to work. Like after I did the first repeat of the chart, I was able to do it without looking at the chart, which is really nice. The increases are really pretty on it. I think they are just a nice detail, the way they turned out, and they lay so nicely. So this took me basically 2 full skeins. Do I still have it up here? I don't anymore. I bound it off, and then, as I always do, I was like, I want it to be longer because I wore it a few times and I found myself pulling it down repeatedly. So I haven't blocked it again since I did that, but you can sort of see the line. So like to here was where I did it, and I had quite a bit of the second ball left, like enough that I knew I could do multiple inches of ribbing. So I did this much more, so about another inch, because from the tip of my finger to my first knuckle is about an inch. So I had about 1.5 inches of ribbing, and I added another inch of ribbing, and now it's perfect. It's the perfect length. I love it. It looks great with skirts. I've worn it with like this long linen taupe colored skirt that I have that has like buttons down the front of it. I've worn it with cut-off jean shorts, I guess I should say, and with jeans. It would also look good with dress pants, but I haven't worn dress pants in years, not since the pandemic. Yeah, so that's the pampas tee, and those are my sweaters that I have completed so far. I'm working on a few, so I could show those, but I've also completed a pair of socks. So these, I'm working on the ends. Let me flip this. I went to my doctor's appointment yesterday, and I brought these along and the other little pair I'm working on for Joshua, and I just worked in ends, because often if I'm actually knitting, I'll get called back like mid-row. It never fails, and then I'll drop a stitch or something. So I'm like, I'm just gonna work in ends. I'll force myself to do it. So these I worked with leftovers of, I think it was Witch's Brew, but I'm not certain because I have another Halloween-y colorway that also might be Witch's Brew, but it's Felici, so we'll just go with it's Felici. I thought I ran out. I have since found the other leftovers ball I knew I had, but at the time when I was finishing the socks, I went to every last drop of the leftover skein I had. So I made a full length pair of these for me with just the contrast heels, but I think the rest of it was all this yarn. So I had enough that I thought I could probably squeak out a pair for Joshua with what I have left. So the top of them, this is Patton's Croy, and I think the colorway is charcoal. I'm not sure of that, but I think it's charcoal. And you can see I pretty much matched up the stripes pretty well. So I knit this whole first sock. And then I did the second sock and I was doing great. And then I got to like here-ish and I was like, I'm not going to have enough. So I cut the yarn. No, I think I used it all up. And then I had this left over from my friend Jessica. I think she said this was a Bruins colorway left over. I don't know sports. But it was close enough in colors that I was like, whatever, it's going to work. So I used that to finish up the foot far enough that I could get to where the white would match up. And then I did a little bit of extra in the Patton's Croy because this mini ran out too. So yeah, they are truly scrappy socks, but I don't think it's super noticeable and no one's going to see this part anyway because that's inside the shoe. And down to where the leg ends, they look exactly the same. So I was pretty proud of that. I love using up every inch of yarn. And I also used up the rest of this Patton's Croy skein and dipped into a second one because I usually have some of this black around because it's just really great for heels and toes and cuffs. And it's super affordable. So I think I got several balls of it when it was on sale at Joann's for like $1.99 or something a ball. It was in the clearance bin. So I grabbed a bunch of the black and a bunch of the white that they have. And then there's kind of this weird grayish brown. It's probably undyed, but I got that as well. So I just have those for grabbing for random heels, toes, and cuffs. And hey, for $1.99 a ball is perfect. So those were my Felici leftovers socks. And that's it for finished objects. So that gets me into my whips, which I just have a few here. This one I cast on for me, and I'm kind of thinking these will be kind of winter bed socks because this is, it's an alpaca yarn. It has wool and other stuff in it. Gosh, I'm blanking on it. It was, someone sent me their leftovers. So it's a like hand rolled ball. They did tape the label around it for me, but it was going to be more than enough for socks for me. So is it ultra alpaca? I don't know, but I have made socks out of this before and they did wear out on the heels. So I'm not doing the heels in that yarn. I'm going to do the heels in this yarn, which I believe this is some Advent yarn from one of my Advent calendars. It's like a dark green with sparkles. This could have been from my Yarn at Home Mom calendar. I can't recall. Or it could be that somebody sent me this because it is hand wound into a ball. And I usually hate winding things this way. Like, it drives me flipping nuts. So I suspect that someone probably sent it to me. And there they are. So anyway, I made a blueberry waffles sock, and I've got my Little Bitty Delights marker on there. I'm gonna go let them in. All right, I'm back. Apparently they forgot forks. So Joshua ran all the way up from the creek to get forks for them to eat their potatoes. Anyway, since I had to get up, I went ahead and got the label. So it is Misty Alpaca. And I can't read it with my glasses on. It is 50% alpaca, 30% merino wool, 10% silk, 10% nylon. The color is HS72, whatever that means. So anyway, yeah, it was washi taped around the ball. So I do know what it is, but it's leftovers. So anyway, that's my plan. Heels, toes with this, which I think will match that one green stripe very nicely. Like I said, I'm doing blueberry waffles. It's been a while since I've done a patterned sock, but I was watching Jilly's podcast because she started podcasting again. So she's mom of 6 stitches. And she was doing blueberry waffles as one of her summer socks. And I was like, gosh, it's been a while since I've knit one like that. That would be fun, especially for kind of bed socks. So that is what I'm doing. These are my meetings socks. Like if I'm sitting on a long conference call and I don't have to talk, but I need to listen, it helps me concentrate and not let my mind wander and not want to check emails and stuff if I'm knitting. So I knit on these socks. Blueberry waffles, still pretty mindless pattern. And then the other sock I was talking about for Joshua, these are also leftover socks, but I did not have as much of this yarn left over, so I had to kind of improvise a little bit here. So this one is another Felici, but I think this one might be Witch's Brew, which means I have no idea what that other one is. Candy corn? I don't know. It reminds me of candy corn. But anyway, this one, I had a much smaller ball, so I did a contrast cuff, heel, and I will do a toe, but I'm going to really do a foot. This is the blue plain Felici. They put out a bunch of coordinating Felici colors like earlier this year or last year. I feel like it was right after Christmas because I did a pretty large order either right before or right after Christmas. And I got a ton of the black Felici because I started making the My Favorite Adventure sweater with the black as the main color, and then my advent calendar from Hannah, Corner of Craft, as the contrast color. I screwed up on the raglan increases, so I actually need to rip back on it, and I'm not sure exactly how far I need to rip back, so there it has sat in my bag since I figured that out in January. I need to just get my button gear and do it because Hannah's going to do her Advents of December's Past Cal, and I think she's going to start it sooner, and that's the sweater I want to work on because I want to be wearing that sucker for Vlogmas. Hold me accountable, everyone. I want to have that sweater for Vlogmas, and I can totally do it. I know I can do it because it's just 1x1 color work. It's very meditative. It's just that like on the raglan increases, it's the main color. And I think I thought I was smarter than I was, and I wasn't reading the pattern. I just kind of got into the groove, and then my stuff got off by a stitch. So some of my raglan increases, then I started having to fudge it to make the pattern stay. And when I went back and read it, I remember that I looked at it and went, oh, I missed when it changed the instructions to keep that raglan increase going, but changed it where your color work was. So anyway, I just need to reread it, figure that out, have that epiphany again, and rip back. Tangent. Have you missed them? Have you missed my tangents? Because here we are. So the coordinating Felicis, sometime around last year. They do still have them in the shop, but they are like on heavy clearance. So I'm betting that they're going to get rid of them. So this is the blue. And I thought it went reasonably well with this stuff. So what I did is I knit down to this purple color. And then I rewound the ball by hand to see how far I could get. Like, could I get this full set of color repeats for the second leg? And I figured out I could, but I had to cut the yarn. So I basically could only do the little bit after the heel flap to get part of the gusset done. But this was as much as I could do before I had to switch so that I could have the same stripe repeat on the leg. You can see I caught more of this color, which means all of my stuff is kind of shifted down a little bit, but that's fine. They are more or less the same. So that's why this one's just sitting here with no yarn attached, because I had to cut it to be able to do this one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do both of the feet with all this blue color. So I've just gone ahead and kept going with the blue, and I'm almost done with the gusset decreases. I think I have 34 stitches left on the needles right now. So for Joshua, I make 60 stitch socks, and I vary the leg length a little bit. This one I had to make a little bit shorter, again, because of how much leftovers I had. I typically make them just a bit longer. So if we were to look at these two together, you can see that this one is ever so slightly longer, maybe like 1/4 of an inch longer. So I got pretty darn close to where I normally would. My ear is ringing. So yeah, I feel pretty good that I have both of them past the heel. That's the part that I find the most trying for me, is getting to the heel, getting through the heel flap. But I was watching another podcast, which I'm now blanking on what it is. She's also Canadian. I'm going to insert it here so you know. I feel bad because she's also a dyer. And my friend Jen watches her podcasts all the time. Anyway, she does the garter edged heel flap. So I'm like, I'm going to try that. So I tried it on these, and it was so much easier to pick up the stitches for the heel flap. I loved it, and there weren't all the weird gaps. So I've started now doing that on all of my socks. So you can see it gets this little like ribbing sort of look. I guess garter, it's just garter on the edges of the ribbing. But when I picked it up, you pick it up in each little garter ridge that's left, and it's just very clean. So it was much easier to pick up the stitches. So I'm now doing that on all of my socks I've knit since I started watching her podcast, which is all of 3 pairs. But I am enjoying it. So I think that's going to be my new go-to heel. It's pretty easy to remember to do it. And yeah, so those are my socks, my leftover socks for Joshua. I want to get one of those done so that I've got an extra pair of sock needles, because I want to repair this sock. I did duplicate stitch on the heel, but it is worn out in so many places on the toe, like here, 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 and here. So I think what I'm going to do is just rip back to there. And then I've got the leftover ball for this color. You can see it's the same color. And then I'm just going to reknit the toe. That'll be easier, because otherwise I'd have to patch it in 4 places, which frankly is going to be more time than just reknitting that much of the foot and toe. So I'm just going to cut it off and reknit it. But I need a pair of free sock needles to do it, and I don't have a pair right now. And then I have been knitting on this tank. My allergy eye drops in there. Okay, so this is a tank top that I cast on, I think, one of the times that I was podcasting previously. It is from a really old publication I have. that I bought from the yarn store I used to go to in California when we still lived there. So I know it's at least 2008 or before. So this is the Knit issue 5 by Joe Sharp. And I am making this like 3x1 rib tank. I know I've talked about this because I remember talking about vintage buttons. But it's basically a tank top with kind of long straps that come from the back, and then on the front you sew them down, and then you put little buttons as like a little detail. That's really hard to see on the white yarn. I thought they made one in here in black. Maybe not. Anyway, this pattern book has a lot of like basics for summer. And it shows you how you can like play with length or, you know, the different details on the straps. So like they show that tank in 3 ways. They have a cropped, a full-size version, but it is different ribbing on the top than like the rest of the body. And then like this one, they've got it in a couple different ways. So it's nice to just show, hey, you've only got like 6 designs, but you can play around with them to make it look like a lot more designs. So anyway, I cast on for it. It is knit in pieces in that booklet, and I thought that's stupid. I'm not doing that for a 3x1 rib tank. So all I did was omitted the seaming stitches that are left on the sides because they gave you an extra like column of stitches so that you could seam the pieces together. And I just did it in the round. So it's 3x1 ribbing in the round. It's 1x1 ribbing for the bottom. Then you switch to the 3x1 ribbing, and then it's going to be that all the way up as far as I want it to be. And then once I get like up here, what it had you do was on the back piece, you picked up stitches and knit them until they were as long as you wanted them, and then you like sewed them onto the front. I'm going to count them and only bind off the stitches on the back that I don't want to knit into the straps. And I think I may bind off on the front, but keep the extra stitches on hold that I want to attach the straps to, and then I'm going to 3 needle bind off on the front, and then I still want to sew on the little buttons. So anyway, this is again like a travel project because it's so simple. I don't need to think about it. I've brought it for happy hours and picnics, beach time, that kind of stuff, because I can just pick it up and put it down because it's 3x1 ribbing for the rest of my life. Anyway, I'm knitting it in Book Cart. This is a colorway from Plies and Hellhounds. I think it is on her discontinued MCN base, which I believe was Penny. I think it's Penny. She may be planning to bring this back for the fall. I don't know, but it's really nice. I got it in the Secret Skein sale that she has around Christmas time every year. So she basically just wraps up skeins. You don't know what you're getting, but the skeins are $25 each. So it's a pretty good deal. And I happened to get 2 Book Cart. And with alternating them, I think it looks great. You can't even tell if they were different dye lots. I don't know. But it's this like warm brown with reds and kind of golds in it. So yeah, I think it's going to be really pretty when it's done. I just have a couple of stitch markers on it. This one was one I won from Shauna Adelaide Cottage. She had a giveaway several years ago, and so I won that. And then this one is a Charmed and Dangerous from her Donut of the Month Club last summer, I think. She has done some of these and sold them in her shop this year. But it's super cute. It's one of my favorite charms from her. Anyway, that's that. And then this one is for the Knitters and Critters make along, just like anything tabletop RPG themed. So I cast on for a fall frolic sweater, but I'm making it short sleeves, so I'm calling it my summer frolic. Sorry, I thought I had a piece of yarn in it. Is actually an end. So this is a pattern by Samantha Guerin. It's the fall frolic. I was a test knitter for this, but as I said, I'm doing a short sleeve version this time. Main color that I'm using is Hey Sister Yarn Co. I got a couple of sweater quantities right when they were going out of business. They don't dye yarn anymore. This one is Favorite Tea is the colorway. And then this is from Hannah, Corner of Craft, and this is why it qualifies for the Knitters and Critters or Critters and Knitters Mal. This is Hamster Unicorns. So it's a hot pink, sort of one of those pastel hot neon pink colors. And then it has tons of rainbow speckles all over it. It's so fun to knit with. I'm going to have a ton left because it's only for that little bit of color work. And since I'm not doing the long sleeves, I won't have the cuff section that I'll get to do. But Gabby made one that was short sleeved. So I'm going to like look at her project and see what she did, because I feel like she maybe did a couple or at least one of these color work motifs on the sleeve before the ribbing. And I really liked how hers looked. That was my inspiration for wanting to make one. So I put on it, I won a contest last year that Hannah did for the Advents of December's past. I made my hat, the Christmas cracker hat, with all my all of my mini skeins that I had that kind of coordinated from my Yarn at Home Mom Advent. And she did a contest for it. And so I won this little marker and I won a skein of yarn that I want to knit into a hat. So this is one of the beaded stitch markers that Hannah makes. It's a little sheepy. It's so cute. And then I have for my round marker, a Wee Ones stitch marker that's also a sheep. So I'm very sheepy on this one. So I think it's going to be really nice, like that light gray, the hot pink. That is just a combo. I love it. So yeah, that's coming along. I think I just finished this repeat. So I'm going to do one more increase row and then one more color work round, and then it's separating for the sleeves, and then it's just stocking it for days, which is great. So I need to get it to that point because then it'll be a nice picking up and putting down project. Right now it isn't a little bit. That's in my Vita Lifestyle tote bag that I got last year from Cake Palooza, which I am going to Rhinebeck as far as I know. My friend Andrea and I are splitting the hotel, and maybe my friend Jen, we'll see if she can come or not. So we're planning to go to India Untangled, Cake Palooza, Woolen Folk, and Rhinebeck on Saturday. So India Untangled, Cake Palooza, then Woolen Folk is Friday. We got the tickets for the first set of India Untangled because my friend Andrea is amazing and really great at camping tickets. So she got us in on the first slot. Then we're going to take the slot that's like right after that for Cake Palooza. I think it's the second slot of Cake Palooza. And then Woolen Folk after that, because those tickets are good for all day. So we'll go whenever we finish up at Cake Palooza. We'll go to Woolen Folk and just hang out. And we are staying in Saugerties this year, so potentially I can do some meetups with people. So if you're going to be at Rhinebeck and you want to meet up, maybe we can meet up and hang out like after Woolen Folk and stuff. I would love to like go get drinks with some people and stuff. I already have at least one person. I think Lindsay, who's Stock Witchery, said she wants to meet up in person. So if anybody else is going to be at Rhinebeck, let me know because I want to see you. I didn't get to really see anyone last year, though it was tons of fun to hang out with my friends Andrea and Jen. I don't get to see them nearly enough. All right. Then my last one I was going to share is a recent cast on. So this is a pattern that just came out from Telly Bean Knits. And as soon as I saw it on my feed, I was like, I need this sweater in my life. So it's the True Nature tee, and it has a lace detail. This is kind of like the thing right now, is like this lace motif on the yoke, some circular shaping, and then kind of plain body. This one I'm going to make as a long sleeved or maybe 3/4 sleeved. I don't know yet. I'm going to see where I am. Obviously I can decide that later, but I'm going to knit the body and then we'll see what I think about the sleeves, but at least 3/4 length sleeves because I want to be able to wear it for more of the year. And I wanted to use stash yarn I already had. So this is yarn I got last year or maybe 2 years ago. I think it could have been 2 years ago. It was the Plies and Hellhounds Christmas-ish colorway, holiday colorway. So it's no Poison Day, but it's on her Tesla base, which I believe she's rebranded the Tesla base. I think it's the Selkie base now. But it is a BFL silk cashmere. So really nice. So this is an Ice Planet Barbarians themed yarn, obviously, because No Poison Day is like the holiday that they celebrate on Not Hoth. And it's a combination, amalgamation of like all of the human holidays together. So like Valentine's Day and Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of them, just everything together. So it is on an ice blue yarn, and it has purples and turquoises and a little bit of green maybe in there, but it's predominantly that sort of icy gray blue. So I have finished all the short row shaping for the back of the neck, and it's really cool because it is twisted rib. So you use twisted rib for your shaping, and the neckline is just like a little light roll, but when people were wearing it, this wasn't super visible. So I think once it's like blocked and it's on your body, this isn't gonna roll very much. So anyway, that's what I have done so far. And I'm just going and resolving my double stitches, and then I'm going to jump right into the chart. So you don't have to wait very long to jump into that chart, which is nice. So yeah, that one is coming along really well. I love this base. I've never knit with this base before. I have it in a couple different colorways because she is dyeing her what's it called? Folklore collection. It's all of the monsters. But she's dyeing it on this base. Don't forget your pattern, Nina. That is what I'm doing with that. That one is fun. I needed a new cast on. Like once I finished the test knit for Samantha, I was like, I need to cool it with test knits for a little while because I want to make my Rhinebeck sweaters. I want to make Rhinebeck sweaters, and I have some ideas for those. I want to do a ballet wrap top, which I'm looking around and I don't know where I put the bag. I don't see it. Anyway, I'm going to do that one in kind of a springy green held double with mohair. I'm going to try to lengthen it a bit, but I'll have to play around with how that happens because that pattern, it's a free pattern up to a certain size. It's by Two of Wands, and like Lion Brand sponsored her for doing it with their yarn, but she only wrote it through a certain size, and she's now expanded the size range, and it's a paid for pattern on Ravelry that goes all the way up to I think like a 70-inch chest. It's a very good size range. Um, but I'm just using the free one. I do think I'm almost the top size of the free one, so it was not a very big size range that was offered for free. If I like it, I may pay for the pattern because I do like to support designers expanding their range, or I may just contact her and see if I can donate a pattern to someone who needs it, because more people should be able to knit it. But I don't know where the yarn is for that, so I can't show you that. And then I want to cast on this underlace top by Lily Kate France. And it is like a top-down scoop neck sweater. And the detail is that you've got this lace that you go back and pick up and make like a little cap sleeve out of it. She has it in stripes. I'm going to make it all one color. There is also, let me show you that. This picture's better. There's also a collar that you go back and pick up. So I just really like those little details. And it has a nice ribbing on the bottom. It might be a folded hem, but I'm not doing a folded hem. We just talked about, I don't like the folded hems. I don't like them. Anyway, I'm going to use the first colorway of the Folklore collection, which was Indisworm. It's this really nice, delicate petal pink. And it's from Plies and Hellhounds, so I believe this was like the February or March colorway is when she started this new collection. I missed 1 month of it. It was last month. We were trying to just like save some money because we just bought a retaining wall, which was really expensive. So I was like, okay, well, if it's still there, after I do my yarn sale, I'll purchase it, but she had sold out of it. Gabby said she might do a final run that's like pre-order only of the colors. And if she does, I definitely will get that color because it is like blues and purples and a little bit of tan. So it's sort of like my Pampas tee, but a little more purple and with the taupe. It was so pretty. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm trying to really fill out my summer wardrobe, and I feel like I'm on my way for that summer/spring wardrobe. So when you can't wear long sleeve sweaters anymore, I have to kind of switch over to all like store-bought stuff, and I'm trying to get to a place where I'm wearing all handmade wardrobe. So anyway, I do want to cast on for the underlace top. I may do that sometime soon. I did a pretty big de-stash on Instagram of a bunch of Volan Vine. I just had a lot of single skeins. I don't really knit with single skeins anymore. I got them when I was really into shawl knitting, and I don't even wear my shawls that frequently. I have like 2 of them that I tend to just wear again and again. So yeah, they just weren't going to do it. I was never going to knit with them. So I was like, they need to just get out of my stash and go make somebody else happy. So I sold a lot of them. So thank you to everyone who purchased them. I do still have some left. So I thought I would show a few of those because sometimes on Instagram, you can't really see them very well. And if people are interested, you can either message me on Instagram or you could message me on Ravelry if Instagram isn't something you do, because I know there's some people that watch my podcast that don't really use Instagram. So if you want yarn, welcome to it. So I did have these 2 skeins of a blush crepe. This is Plies and Hellhounds yarn. Again, the penny base. So it's not one that she currently stocks. This was her spring term collection. One of the colors. I was going to make a tee out of it. I started making it and it just like really washes me out. So I'm not going to use it for anything. I did wash and reskein these skeins, but you know, they were knit very briefly into the daisy crop. But they have been washed and reskeined, as you can see. So there's no yardage missing or anything like that. I just don't think I'm going to use them for that purpose anymore. I have this skein of Moonstone Dye Works. This came in like a mini skein set plus a full skein. It was the Moons collection. So this is Crescent Moon. I used the mini skeins on my unicorn sweater, but I don't see myself using this one. I mean, maybe I will if I can't get rid of it. So it's really pretty. It's like cream with purple speckles all over it. And it's on her Stellina sock base. I have this one from the Gory Details Yarn Club. This is Wool and Vine Yarn's Footsie base. The colorway is Mystery. Again, like this one, I've got the label somewhere and I can't find the label. It came off, like it got ripped. So I made a new label for myself just so I wouldn't forget what it was, but I think I might have it in one of my like knitting journals or when I tried the knitting journal. If you're interested, I'll go dig for the label. And then this one is Hinterland. This was her Christmas colorway, or one of her Christmas colorways from like 2 years ago. It's on the Blitzed base. Kristen only dyes the Blitzed base, I think, at Christmas time. So it's glitter. It's like a dark olive green with magenta speckles. It didn't photograph well for my Instagram post, but it is a really pretty color. Again, I only got one skein, so I'm just not gonna knit anything with it. But, yep. So Christmas color. Then I have old hangy tag plus new tag. These are the same colorway. This is Moondrop on Volca, so I have 2 skeins of that. They're pretty close in color, so if you wanted to knit a tee out of this and could make it with 2 skeins, these are definitely close enough that you could work them together. And then I had this skein of Yarn Enabler Sweet Kisses. This was a monthly yarn club that she had. She doesn't dye yarn anymore, I don't think. And they were part of the Dye Another Day podcast. So it was her and Cozy Knitter. Yeah. And then I had a Yarn Enabler colored pencil set. Again, this was January, February of the colored pencil sets. She did like a whole year of different colored pencils. So normally she did like this pencils where you would have the eraser and the metal part. Let me get a pencil. The eraser and the metal part is these 2 minis. And then this is the lead and the wood. But obviously the lead is a colored pencil, so it's pink for this one. And then there'd be the wood. So that'd be like your toes. This would be your cuff. And then the main color of the pencil is this pink. So it was January, February because Valentine's Day. So I have that whole set also available for sale. So like I said, if you're interested in any of those, feel free to drop me a message on Ravelry or Instagram. They are still definitely for sale. There's also posts on Instagram if you want to comment on those. And then all the prices are listed on Instagram for what I asked for those skeins. And then you will free up more space for me because I'm trying to clear some space for Rhinebeck because I didn't want to have a cabinet full of single skeiny stuff that I'm never going to knit with. So yeah, that's basically all I have. I've managed to ramble on for an hour and that isn't even close to how many whips I have. I've still got my Cozy Memories blanket. I tried to knit a square a night, which is basically a mini skein. That's going well. So I have 5 strips of it and I'm getting ready to start the 6th strip probably tonight. Still working on Josh's sweater. The Urban Hiker. I'm close. I'm like to here on the decreases. And then once I finish that, I need to do zipper plackets or whatever. You've got to like pick up some stuff, and I think it's so you can fold it over and cover up where you're gonna sew the zipper on to it. So I need to do that. I'm a little concerned that the sleeves are going to be too short, so then I might have to unpick the cast on and knit some ribbing on the bottom of the cuff, which is a bummer, but whatever. I did it like the pattern said to, and it's not long enough. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, hopefully it won't be another like 5 months before I talk to you guys again, but I can't promise anything. So thank you for everybody who's stuck with me. I really appreciate all of you, and I hope you get time to do the things that you love, and I will talk to you soon. All right.